Muslims or anything else. As long as that honor lives, they would not bow to sword. So the sword seems to be successful in some phases of history, but to no purpose. Names were changed, styles were changed, but the hearts remained as atheistical, as atheist-minded, and attitudes were as corrupt as they used to be before. So leaving that aside, now I turn to the last recipe for such a situation. When the hearts are hardened, when the message is understood to be that of a forceful change in the ideology of the world and the forceful imposition of the Muslim states upon the non-Muslim states. Is that not exactly the attitude found in the time of Jesus Christ among the Jews? This was the fight about. This was all the difference between the Christians, between Christ and the Jews. You know, they demanded that we were expecting a Christ, but a Christ with a throne under him and a crown over his head. A Christ would leave the movement of rebellion against the Roman yoke. And you have come to perpetuate our slavery? And this is what you call the spirit of Christ? We reject it. It's meaningless. But Christ said, all right, go ahead what you do, but you will suffer. And that is what they did. They went on making rebellions, fighting others in the name of religion, and they were thoroughly demolished and defeated by a general of the Romans in 71 or 72 after Christ. But Christianity, which did not have any sword in its hand, went on flourishing and spreading despite all opposition. Here the sword was taken from the hands of the believers and handed over entirely to the hands of the oppressors and rejectors. Yet it spread. So it was Jesus Christ and his movement which gave, a measure of honor to the early success of Judaism. If Jesus had not appeared, then all were justified in concluding that the message of Moses and the teachings of Torah has no inherent beauty in it. It is only when it ran along with force and coercion that it acquired a measure of success. Otherwise, in itself, it's mere ugliness. But what Jesus did was a revolution in this area, brought about a revolution. He said, all right, I stick to the same values. You take the sword in your hand. You try to destroy me and my followers and crush them. Do whatever you may. We are going to emerge victorious. It was this belief of Jesus in truth itself which brought about the great revolution in the ideologies and the attitudes of the people around. So first of all, Hazrat Mirza Sahib should be understood in this context. Is it not exactly the same battle which began between him and the Orthodox Muslims? They wanted a liberator from the British yoke who would raise sword against them and lead them to victory. No such Messiah came to them. And he said, all right, we do not believe in a slave Messiah. That is how he was ridiculed even by Iqbal. He said, we do not believe in those who are slaves to be honored as prophets of Allah. Those who live under a foreign yoke, they are not worthy of acceptance as the messengers of God. This is exactly the allegations against Jesus Christ, which was leveled by the Jews. Now, Iqbal, I don't know why he chose to forget the status of Joseph, son of Jacob, who he believed to be a prophet of God, but he lived all his life under a foreign yoke. He accepted a high office under a king who did not believe in him. So to live under a foreign yoke does not result in giving right to the people to reject such a man. So Iqbal should have started his journey with Joseph first, then he should have come to Jesus Christ himself and said, there goes another claimant, a slave prophet. Unless Masih Maud al-Islam had that something in common with Jesus, he could not have been taken as seriously as a true image of Jesus and repetition of Jesus' message. But that's not all. What happened then, from then on, Jesus and his followers were put through the mill of persecution so severely and so cruelly, and they were declared to be outside the pale of Judaism. They were declared to have no right to live unless they defiled the teachings of Christ and the image of Christ, or unless they abused him and cursed him. The history is full of such events. And it is being repeated here now in Pakistan, from where you have come. They catch hold of Ahmadis, poor Ahmadis, and say, abuse Mirza Ghulam Ahmad or we will not leave you alone. Or either sometimes they are killed because they refuse to abuse, or they are beaten up and left as pulp. Sometimes imprisoned under false allegations that we have done it because such a man was insulting Na'uz Billah min Zalik Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. A man who is so honorable, as offers every sacrifice but does not succumb to the pressure of the sword or force, how could he tell falsehood, who speak falsehood, utter falsehood? He's honest and true. Otherwise he will not offer sacrifices for the sake of his own beliefs. So when he says, I love Muhammad Rasulullah, I believe in him, I know that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian received all honors from him, and he was his ultimate master. They have no right to reject this belief. But it goes on. So this is again a repetition of the early history. The attitudes were changed, and the people of followers of Jesus Christ were persecuted for their noble attitudes, not for crimes. This is exactly being repeated in case of the followers of Hazrat Mirza Sahib. They are not beaten up for stealing. They are not beaten up for usurping others' rights. They are not beaten up for appearing in the court for false witnessing, etc., etc. They are not beaten up for drugs. They are beaten up for, and in Northwest Province, I'm telling you, they are beaten up and prosecuted and condemned to serve imprisonment for 3 years to begin with, then it was reduced to 1 year. You know for what crime? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim was discovered from the house of this man, as police raided his house for illicit things. The first report of the police, which was taken seriously and accepted by the judge, was that the crime of this man was that when we raided his house and searched him and his possessions, we discovered Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which means in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, oft repeating his mercy. So if such are the crimes of Ahmadis today, go back to the time of Jesus, similar were the crimes of the people there. They didn't rob anybody. They didn't kill anybody. They didn't usurp anybody's rights. They didn't indulge in child abuse or abduction and asking for money and blackmailing and all this. All this is left to the lot of the mullahs in Pakistan and their followers. They appropriate these rights. But Ahmadis, they are not given the right to declare La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. For that, the death penalties are hanging over their heads today. Is it not like the movement of Jesus Christ?